Hey guys, hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So for a lot of you guys that have been on my channel for many years, you know me a little bit. I've showed you bits and parts of my life, but I never really did a proper introduction. I never told you guys a little bit about me and how my whole family ended up to the US. I've been in the US most of my life. I came here when I was 6 or so. I'm now 43 and I've been in the US that long. So I just realized that I never told you guys how we ended up being in the US. Our story is pretty smooth, I would say, but it's nice to tell. I like watching these kinds of stories because it makes us more relatable. So if you're a Kenyan person out there, hey, and leave a comment down below, a thumbs up, how did you end up in the US if you're Kenyan, or if you're from another part of the world, how did you end up in the US? All right, so let's get started. So my name is Elizabeth Amondi. Amondi kind of means before sunrise. I want to say like 5 a.m. around there, like 4 to 5 a.m. or so. So that's my middle name. I come from Kenya, East Africa, and I came from a small town called Korowe. I came here in the 90s, and so many things have changed because when I came here, literally when we left Kenya, there was not much going on in Kenya, honestly, and a lot of stuff that we hear about, we didn't know anything about it. Like, things are so much more advanced now. Things have changed, there's fast food places, hotels are almost similar to the US and all that. So many things are now like the US, and it has changed drastically from when we came. Because when we came, we didn't know anything about anything, and literally we felt like when we got to the US, it was like a red carpet. Now people come into the US and it's just like another place. They don't see that. When we came here, we felt like we were walking on a red carpet. So we came in the end of the 90s. My dad was a teacher. He loved teaching. He even wanted to teach when he came to the US, which did not work out that way. And my dad was pretty much providing for all of us. I have 3 other sisters and 1 brother, so that was all of us trying to provide for us. And I'm telling you guys, there were times that it was hard, just like a lot of people in the world, that sometimes we didn't have it. But one of the things that I'm so happy about is that my mom always made sure that we looked so nice and put together that nobody knew what we were going through. There's times that we were drinking like eating certain foods that are considered like for poor people and stuff like that, and it's not, because that's what we grew up on. I still eat that stuff here. It doesn't make nothing. It wasn't pretty much, but people would consider it. If somebody came from the city, they would consider that poor people's food. There's times that we ate that, like rice and beans was something that we did a lot of. There's a certain type of tea that we drink, and then that if you don't have the milk with it, you consider poor. We ate cornmeal, which is something that we still eat to this day. I still eat that most of our time. And sometimes when the white one was more expensive than the red one. So if you ate the red one, it was look kind of like you're poor. We have gone to a lot of parties here, to people here in the US who now, they're hosting parties and they have like wine and they have cheese and crackers, and they're like, oh my gosh, you guys eat ugali. Like, what? It's like they're looking down on certain things, and it's just like, are you serious? But anyway, yeah, so there's times that we really didn't have food all the way, but my dad always provided for us. He did everything that he could to take care of us, while my mom was doing little things here. We had a little shop that she was running. And then another thing that my mom did when we were growing up was she sold birth control, which was interesting because a lot of women knew her for that. She was known in the village for that. She knew a lot about medical stuff. And I remember one time this kid was drowning, and she literally saved this kid by doing I forgot what it's called, not CPR or whatever, when you're drowning, how you push the stomach to let the water come out, so whatever. She helped. So in the village, she was known as somebody who had a lot of information, medical stuff, and also that was her goal. Like, she always wanted to be a nurse when she came here, even though it didn't pan out that way, but that was one of her dreams. So growing up, we had a really nice childhood, I would say. People thought we were doing way better than we actually were. But over time, the stress, it was a lot on my dad. So eventually, he was always trying to come up with ways to provide for us. So one time he came across, I'm kind of forwarding it so I don't spend too much time. It's already 7 minutes. So one time he came across this thing and heard about this church that was sponsoring people pretty much to bring people to the US. And he was talking about it, and he was like, this and this and this, telling my mom about it, telling everybody that he could about it. At the time, a lot of people were kind of literally laughing at him, and they were like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Because my dad is that type of person that is very motivated, and he always was always trying to find a way to do stuff. And literally people thought he had a big mouth, which he does to a certain point, but he always said stuff and people never really took him. But he did, when he was motivated to do something, he did it. So he told people were laughing, and one time he told my mom pretty much that he's found a way, and pretty much he has to just do certain steps of stuff, and this church is willing to sponsor him, and pretty much at the end he can bring his family to the US. And we were like, what? My mom was like, no, 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 there's no way you're taking the kids and we're taking us to the US. This is a new place, like we don't know anything. How are we gonna, like, a lot of questions for my mom. My mom is more the reserved person. She's more things through. My dad is a risk taker, and he's like, if he's put in mind of something, he's gonna do it. So my mom really was like, what the heck, like, how are you gonna pack up the kids and we're gonna go to the US? We don't know anything about this. And my dad was just like, you know what, at this point I'm struggling in some ways to try to provide for you guys in a salary, you know. It was hard. We had everything we needed, but it was hard at times. So yeah, one time he was like, pretty much everything is set, he's gonna travel to the US, and he got his papers and everything. He came to the US the first time without us. He stayed here for a while, worked his butt off, saved up, and even the people that from the church helped him, and they pretty much helped him to the point where he was like planning to bring us here. It was hard. They were writing letters back and forth to my mom, like trying to figure out how this thing was going to work and how we're going to pack a whole life from Africa all the way to the US. So that took some time. It was back and forth of letters, documents going back and forth. And so it is a process. And now it's even harder. But back then, if it was a little bit smoother and a little bit easier. Even though the paperwork was way slower, things are faster now. You could literally attach documents. Before that, we didn't even have that. So physically, you had to be mailing things back and forth, you know, dealing with the embassy, dealing with immigration and all that. But it was way smoother. So pretty much he started the whole process. And he was here, he was visiting. He would bring us stuff, and every time we always had something from the US, and kids thought we were the coolest thing ever because we always had everything from, a lot of stuff from the US that was so random, and sometimes we gave it to people. So after a while, you know, it became too much, you know. We were also missing our dad, you know, for a lot, and so eventually he was like, yeah, I need to figure out a way. You guys are all going to be coming here. So the church that he was going through also gave him work, so he was able to work and make a stable life. And they pretty much were like, yeah, we're going to help you. And they helped him. He got us all like the documentation that he needed, and he started planning for us. So in the 90s, yeah, everything was pretty much set. At first we thought that maybe some people were going to stay, like my oldest brother and my sister were going to stay, or my brother and sister were going to come, and then we would stay and then come back later. But at the end of the day, we ended up that no, it was the best thing for all of us to come at the same time. So I am back. My battery cut off. Yes, so pretty much at the end, he was like, get ready, start getting in the thing, and we were preparing. And I remember we had no hair, like our hair was shaved up. I was going to a boarding school, so we started braiding our hair little by little, like pinching our scalp basically. We started growing our hair because we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to the US, this is so exciting, like planning for it. Like literally, I was in a boarding school, I was miserable. I was just really ready to go, like mentally. It was boarding school. Now I realize it's not the best thing when you are younger. Like I struggled in boarding school, and I was always hit, you know, because I just didn't adapt well to boarding school, and I felt really isolated. Like when my mom came to see me, I would be skinny, I was miserable, I was always crying, and I felt like a part of me, now I look back, I think that really affected my childhood, that the boarding school experience. My dad thought he was doing the best thing for me for boarding schools, but now I realize that boarding schools are not the best for kids. But anyway, I couldn't wait because I was like, finally, I get to go to America, somewhere different. I'm not going to deal with the principals here, you know, the headmistresses and all that, because now I get to go somewhere else. So we were all really excited. So we started planning. We left our schools. We were saying bye to people slowly. And I'll never forget the morning we packed up. We were passing like the cornfields, walking with our suitcases. And we met one lady early in the morning, and she literally asked us, like, where are you guys going? And my mom was like, we're going somewhere pretty much far, far away. And we're getting on a plane. And literally we were like, we didn't know what that meant, you know, because we had never been on a plane before. So we packed up everything that morning, and we stayed with my auntie for a little bit in Nairobi, and then got there, and we started settling a little bit, waiting for everything. So once we got everything, we packed our bags, we traveled, and I remember being on the flight, and all we heard was Italian, pretty much the whole ride. And all we ate was peanuts and Pepsi, because we didn't know any types of food like pasta and all that. We literally did not know. So that's all we ate. I'll never forget how much we were tired of Pepsi when we got home, because we literally drank so much Pepsi, because that's the only thing that was familiar to us. So after a while, we got to the US. We thought this was the red carpet. The US became like this place that was just so beautiful. So my light went out, guys. Let me see if I can move closer. It felt like a red carpet was rolled out. We were like, everything was so cool. And we thought the US was this place that was just so magical and everything like that. And then after a couple of years being here, we would realize that it was not really anything. It was just so different for us because we were new here. And so my dad really struggled. I remember my dad has this little red car that was breaking down all the time, but literally he was going around back and forth, getting us stable, you know, getting our documentation, getting us settled, getting us into schools. And the process was so much. And then I had a hard time adjusting. Like literally the first time I started school, I would be crying, and the teacher would be like asking me constantly like, what's going on? And I realized that adjustment was so hard for me. You know, and my family members, like we had kids that were making fun of us and all this stuff, and it was a whole situation of trying to adjust to being in America. And my dad like just trying to find work for my older sister, and my brother trying to get us into schools and all that. And so for a while, that's all he was doing for the past couple of years. And so once we got ourselves settled, everything became way better, and we were able to help him. And you know, we started our life here in the US. So that's how long I've been here pretty much. But the journey, I would say for us, it was smooth. Things were way easier back then. And I've been so blessed to be able to have so many opportunities open to me and my family. We have been so blessed in so many ways. Like when I look now at how many people are struggling to come here, it's just like I'm grateful because everything has been pretty much really smooth. And you know, I can't imagine. I always say I don't know what my life would be if I was somewhere in Africa right now at my age. I always say maybe I might have a lot of kids, maybe I was married, and that was it for my life, because paying school fees was something that was not even gonna be possible unless my dad was here and I stayed back. But other than that, like I just look back and I said I'm so thankful to God for helping us, for helping my dad, you know, really get his stuff together and everything going smooth. And because I know some people don't have the opportunity to bring their whole families here, we were able to do that. And so I just say that I'm super grateful. All right, guys, so that's pretty much my story of how I left Kenya in the 90s and ended up in the US. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.